All right. So thank you, Katie, for joining us today and for agreeing to speak about your experiences using eConsult as a nurse practitioner here in the Southeast region of Ontario. Before we get started with our conversation today, we just wanted to share a little bit of your eConsult history and stats, just so we can paint a little bit of a picture on what eConsult has looked like for you. So you've been part of the service since December of 2019, and since starting, you've sent a grand total of 116 eConsults. But the number that truly fascinated us this year was that in this past fiscal year, you sent 43 eConsults.
I just sent another one this morning before I joined too.
Fantastic. So this statistic puts you as one of our top nurse practitioner centers in the Southeast region. But it also puts you among the top 50 eConsult centers for the nurse practitioner profession within the province. So out of about just over 1,000 NPs across Ontario using the service, you sit within that top 50, which is incredible. And then within over 6,000 primary care providers total, you're within that top 10%. So fantastic participation that we've noticed from you. So to get started, we'd love to know how you got started with eConsult and how you were introduced to using the service.
So it started when I worked for a family health team in Prescott, actually. And one of the physicians that I worked with, he used it a lot. So he kind of introduced it to me. But at that time, I didn't have a roster. I was just doing acute episodic, same day, women's health. So I didn't really have to use it a ton because I wasn't having to deal with complex cases. And I think the reason why my consults have gone up so drastically is now I work for a CHC. I have a roster that's much more complex in a lower socioeconomic status area of Ontario. And I have great physicians I work with, but I think certainly you'll see that probably most of my eConsults are mental health and hematology related, and we're just so sorely lacking rurally with those two fields that it's just easier to send an eConsult and get an opinion on something. So I just fire things off and get answers quickly, and it helps my patient population. And I mean, I don't know where you guys are living or from, but I work in Smith Falls. So certainly, they're going to Kingston or Ottawa for tertiary care. And some people just don't have cars. They don't have ways to get there. So eConsults just make everybody's life exponentially easier.
Yeah, that's something we've heard quite a bit from our providers is, in regions where they don't have access to specialists in that region, or there's travel and travel barriers for patients or providers themselves. eConsult's a great way to connect with those services. So just building a little bit off of what you've already shared, we'd like to know how you're currently incorporating eConsult into your workflow and your practice. So maybe some barriers and or facilitators to using eConsult. And then perhaps if you're using any of our integrations that are available for eConsult or any delegate support, or is it you who's doing all of the administrative work for an eConsult?
So my one pharmacist will send eConsults on my behalf. So that's helpful. Like I said, I think my top two eConsults are probably hematology and psychiatry. Sorry, what was the question again?
So I think the question is, in incorporating that within your practice, like you said at the beginning when we joined the call, that you had just started coming from sending an eConsult. So is that something that you do yourself?
Yeah.
Is it the beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day?
Kind of wherever I can squeeze it in. Obviously, this isn't even my work day, but yeah, I send them all the time because, like I said, I need expert opinion on things.
Right.
And like, I just, it takes 5 minutes to send off for the most part. I'm to the point where I can, make a PDF. I can upload the attachment on my own. Before it took a little bit longer because I needed help with it, but now with our EMR, it's pretty simple and straightforward.
Right.
And then the options just make it really easy to
tell us a little bit more about the EMR that you're using and how this is now working better for you.
So we're using PS Suites.
Yeah.
I think probably most people are on that now, but before nobody taught me how to make a PDF attachment to save on my computer to upload.
Right.
So I even forget Perkinji or whatever we were using before this just wasn't maybe as user friendly to make a PDF. So when you're able to just do all the own work, like your own work, you're not waiting for somebody else to make an attachment for you to upload it, because then you start it, but then it sits there as a draft. And then, yeah, if I can just do everything on my own, makes life a lot easier. So my eConsults are probably not written as nicely as my pharmacist eConsults. I'm pretty straight and to the point and just put in what I need and what I want, but
so outside of, accessing some of the specialties that you've already mentioned that you don't have immediate access to in your region, what are some of the other benefits you've experienced from using the eConsult service?
It's way faster, like to get a response, than it is to like write a letter to a hematologist, please see for follow-up. And maybe like, especially for hematology, you don't even necessarily need to be seen, right? And same maybe for mental health, but like if we're just looking for a medication recommendation,
right?
It's less stress on the patient for sure. I mean, maybe a little more work on my end in that sense. But yeah, no need to travel for my patients is really a big thing. The quick access to answers is a huge thing. The fact that I now know actually how to just hit the little switch and it just downloads it as an HRM file and feeds directly into the program makes things really easy, because then I'm not PDFing it, saving it, dragging, like that step just makes my life a lot easier.
Right.
Oh, good to hear.
And the fact that you can, sometimes they'll say like, try this, if it doesn't work, let me know, or I have a practice here, feel free to refer them to my practice. Like some of the physicians who answer are excellent.
Oh, wonderful. So opening that door of communication to keep an ongoing conversation, or to, continue into a referral if that's still needed.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes they're in Toronto and it's just not practical, but some people, when they're looking for answers, are desperate and they'll say, yeah, just send me to Toronto. I'll go see a neurologist there, because it's, 18 months in Ottawa to be seen.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you're visiting with a patient, how are you identifying if it's if this circumstance or this particular subset of issues is a good potential eConsult for you? Is this something that you explain to the patient that you're going to do, and how do you do that?
Yeah. So the one I just sent this morning, I talked to him yesterday, was a psych consult. He recently had an inpatient psych admission, which really wasn't great for him. So he was really let down with the system. So I said, you know what, why don't I do an eConsult? You don't have to see anybody. You don't have to talk to anybody. I'll do all the work on my end. I'll get a response within a week. I'll come back to you and talk to you about the medication recommendations. So it's kind of an easy sell for most people, because it's like, I'll just do all the work and give you the answers.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And a lot of them, like I said, he was really let down with the whole mental health system. So the idea of being referred to see a psychiatrist to tell his story all over again was overwhelming and fatiguing. So this is just simpler.
So provided a benefit not only to the patient, but to yourself to be able to provide that support in a different way. Wonderful.
And it sounds like you're now part of a broader team, right? You have easy access and easy reach to the specialists that you need.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So the next question I have for you is, do you have any advice or recommendations for providers who might just be starting off with eConsult on how to embrace this service into their practice, and how they can really jump in and utilize the service to the full capacity, such as yourself?
I think doing maybe an in-service for people, because I know some of the doctors I work with are just intimidated because they've never used it. And it's like, well, now we have to use Ocean, and now we have, like, there's just all these different avenues that we can go to. And Ocean has I think an eConsult, and like there's, I don't want to say competitors, because I don't think healthcare is competition really in this aspect, but there's different ways we can do it. And I think just, showing how simple it is to go in and hit like sign in, send an eConsult, give the information, I think it might make life easier for some people, or just even making people aware that it's there for that reason.
Wonderful. Yeah. So Ocean is another avenue in which eConsults can be sent.
Yeah.
And coming soon, hopefully within the next year or so, it'll be a full loop service. So we'll be able to send and receive via Ocean for eConsults, which is great for providers who have that capacity. They don't even have to leave the EMR anymore.
Well, that and things will just automatically upload for you, which is nice, right? Like, or you can just hit the tick boxes and hit send. I don't love Ocean necessarily. Maybe it's just something new and I'm getting older. I don't know, but it's just nice to have everything maybe populate. It'll just save you a few minutes in that aspect, like their information, their health card, all that stuff.
Right.
Danielle, do you have any additional questions for Katie at this time?
Do you find that within the group that you practice with, others are on eConsult as well?
Yeah.
And is that because you're sharing the message in terms of how it's working for you? We're trying to figure out if this is sort of growing within one practice and then you're people to share with their colleagues.
Well, certainly, like Dr. Brooks started me on it, and that got me on board. And then I would say most of us use it. My pharmacist uses it quite a bit. Like if I'm stuck on medications and she's stuck on it, then she goes to OTN and then the specialty. So I know my pharmacist uses it a lot. And then I think it just depends on people's rosters, how much they need to consult with specialists too.
And then do you find, when I think about eConsult, I think about opening doors, and you can go to the provincial service, or you can go to the regional service, or you can choose the physician that you want to send the eConsult to. So what door do you find that you're typically opening when you're sending your eConsult?
I'm typically just sending a provincial referral. I'm never only because I don't know names and I don't know who's in the area. And I find that if I leave it broader, I get a quicker response.
Okay.
And the physicians are really good to say, you know what, this is something that definitely needs to be seen. You know, you need to send them more locally. But with that being said, in that consult, when you send it to your local neurologist or hematologist or hepatologist, whoever it is, I think that expedites the referral. So even if it's taken me 2 steps, my patient may only wait 6 months to be seen versus 18 months to be seen based on that simple note.
Right.
So to me, it's just timely access to answers.
Well, something we can do for you, Katie, and for all the other practitioners within your practice is we can share a list of all of the regional groups that we have for the Southeast and who's involved in those groups. So you can start to, you know, have that name recognition and build some of those professional connections with some of our local specialists, if that's an avenue you'd like to choose moving forward.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so we have all information available and I can share that with you for sure.
Sure. Now we use OTN in office to do a lot of like Dr. Irobi and Dr. Weinstein. Is that all tied through you guys too, or is it part of OTN, or is it just different, you know, called OTN but different avenues or paths, I guess?
So there's a bunch of different services offered through the OTN Hub platform. It's kind of a landing page for a bunch of different services. Our team specifically is focusing on eConsult, but if you had questions about the other offerings through OTN Hub, I'd be happy to connect you with the right.
Oh, no, it's okay. I just wasn't sure if you guys were just all connected.
Yeah, we have the connections to get you to where you need to go, but our team specifically is focusing on eConsult.
Okay. Perfect.
And I think eConsult and eReferral are coming together. So you mentioned PS Suite. There's now an Ocean button sitting in the PS Suite program, and you can use that Ocean button within PS Suite to send eConsults. So I think it's now coming together so that it makes it easier for the provider to both send and respond to eConsults, which is great.
All right, so those are all the questions that I had for you, Katie. If you have anything additional you'd like to share with us about the eConsult service, now would be a perfect time. We appreciate any feedback regarding eConsult, and we're happy to share that with the Ontario eConsult Centre of Excellence, who is the head of this program based out of the Ottawa Hospital. But yes, I'll just give you a moment if you have anything else you'd like to share.
No, I think it just, you know, letting people know how easy it is to use and what timely, like good answers you get, and how you're able to save yourself and your patient time is really like the take-home message.
Wonderful.
That I would want to let people know.
Excellent.
I think it's fantastic.
we appreciate your participation.
We get a common thread that, you know, if you're one of our top senders, you seem to have some sort of value that you're experiencing from it, which is why there's that continued use. And we're having these conversations. So this enthusiasm and this positive outlook on the service is shared with providers who maybe aren't as well versed in using it or are new to understanding how it can be of benefit to them.
Yeah.
So once again, Katie, we'd really like to thank you so much for taking the time today to speak with us about your eConsult experiences. And again, for being one of our top nurse practitioner senders for the 2023 fiscal year. And hopefully we see your name on this list again next year.
I'm sure you will.
Thanks again, Katie.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Take care.